All right, guys, thank you so much and welcome to another exciting episode of United and Everything Football. This is episode 10, and I know as you are watching this, you are not looking so happy. You are not very much excited about events that are happening in the club at the moment. Last 2 weeks, we came to you on the back of a back-to-back loss. Last week, we came on the back of back-to-back wins. Well, we are back again on the back of the back-to-back loss once again. Kwame isn't looking so cheerful. Akumia isn't looking cheerful as well. So today we are joined by another special guest, Michael Akumia. We call him the Messiah. Akumia works with Sumpa FM in Kumasi, a staunch United fan, and thank you so much for joining us today, Michael Akumia, the Messiah. And as usual, I do this with my man Kwame Nchukwu. Kwame has always been with me, co-host and panelist of this United and Everything Football podcast. My name is Kwame Amin Bafo, and thanks for joining us. Always remember to do what? Hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell such that anytime a new episode is released, you will be notified and you will be able to enjoy the beautiful podcast we put together for you. Akumia, how are you doing? It's great to have you on this podcast.
Thank you, Kwame. I think I'll call it Kwame's friend.
Yes.
I'm humble to be here.
Great to have you. Great to have you on the podcast. Great to have you. Great to have you on the podcast today. Kwame, you are not doing well.
At all.
I know you are not doing well. On the back of the back-to-back loss. What is the problem? We will come back to what the problem is. But before that, let's go for a break. When we come back, we'll just go straight into the issues. Back-to-back losses against Crystal Palace and also the game against Galatasaray. We'll be back right after this. Thank you. We are back once again on United and Everything Football. This is episode 10. So let's get straight into the issues. Over the weekend, we played against Crystal Palace in a game where we felt we could win, especially on the back of that performance in the Carabao Cup against the same side. And it's always dodgy when you are playing against a team the same time or some few days apart. And especially after winning, it comes with a lot of dynamics, so a few things that it's very difficult to predict. But unfortunately for us, we lost that game by 1-0 at Old Trafford. And also yesterday we played against Galatasaray in the match day 2 of the UEFA Champions League. Unfortunately, we lost that game by 3-2. Kwame Nchukwu, let me start with you. What is the problem? Why are we here?
It's frustrating. Well, first of all, it's very frustrating as a fan to have your expectations and your hopes dashed week in, week out when you think finally we are actually going to kick on, I did not expect any of the 2 defeats that we just suffered over the past few days. It's incredible. I don't even know what to say, because trying to give explanations very often looks like you're trying to make excuses. Because one could say the multitude of injuries we've suffered from the beginning of the season and multiple bad decisions when it comes to VAR decisions, as well as certain on-field decisions that have gone against us, must have contributed to some of the results that we've suffered. And there's also another school of thought that suggests that our manager is not managing the situation quite well. And then there's also another school of thought that suggests some players aren't living up to the billing. The likes of Marcus Rashford, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes for most parts of the season. Some big players need to step up and they haven't stepped up. So it's hard to sort of pinpoint exactly what is going on right now, but then everything seems to be going wrong, both on and off the pitch. The club, we're in crisis. We are at crisis points right now. It's crisis. I felt like we were just a game or 2 away from going into crisis mode, and we are here. we are here. We're in crisis. We need to salvage the season some way, somehow.
What went wrong in the game against Palace?
Against Crystal Palace, like we previewed the game before, we said it was going to be a totally different game from the game in the cup game that we beat them a few days prior. Both teams made changes, and Roy Hodgson has had a good record at Old Trafford recently, if I'm not mistaken. I think if you consider this result as well, this is like his 5th game in a row at Old Trafford. He hasn't suffered defeats. So there's a man who knows how to grind a result at Old Trafford, and he did just that. His team was solid. His team was solid compared to the team that we had faced a few days before. They were more compact and they were dangerous on the break. They took one of very few chances that they actually created, and they never really looked like they were in any sort of trouble. It never really looked like we're going to pose them much trouble until the very end of the game. So yeah, kudos to them, fair play to them. They did their job, and then once again, we refused to do ours for all the reasons that I've mentioned before.
All right, Michael, let me get to you quickly.
Okay, Father.
I find it very strange looking at the series of events that's happening around. I mean, you think at one point you think we are turning the tide. You watch the game and there are spells within the game where you see us playing very well. I would want you to tie that into the Galatasaray game, because yesterday I could see, in fact, especially in the second half, the first 20 minutes, it was looking like we were going to score them by 4 goals to 1. Before you realize 2-1, then from nowhere 2-2, then the blunder happens, a penalty, a red card, and then we are all over the place and it's 3-2. What is the problem in your estimation?
A very good evening to you guys. We can't pinpoint that this is the main problem of Manchester United. There are a lot of things that is going on within the club, which personally I feel we need to do a lot to make sure that we all come to a full understanding of what we need to uproot before we can get success for any other person that is actually going to come into the club. Whether it is Eric Ten Hag who is going to continue or a new manager that is going to come in. From my point of view, I think we played one of our best games against Crystal Palace on Saturday. I won't lie. The number of chances that Crystal Palace actually had in that game, even the EFL captain, they had much more clear chances than what they had on Saturday when we played against them. And they had to score from a set piece. Then the same problem will occur again, where we squander a lot of chances and then we concede in such a dire manner where most of our centre backs had lost concentration. Then we need to push forward and get that particular kind of equalizer or the win. Last season, we were getting wins even by going down by 2 goals to 0. We were getting wins even by going down by 1 goal to 0. Tough games which we felt we could not come back. We could do it. What is happening this season? What is not working? You could blame 2 things. One, the physical condition of the players. Number two, the mentality of these players coming into this particular season. Have their expectations actually met the reality, or more or less has reality dawned on their expectations where it has affected their confidence? These are legitimate questions I believe we should be asking these players. And what is the physical condition of these players after a tough schedule? I know Manchester United is not the only club suffering from injuries. Arsenal is suffering from injuries, Chelsea is suffering from injuries. We can speak about them, but some of their clubs are very lucky because the spine of their team, when I talk about the spine, the key players in which their coaches have established their system upon. And you look at Manchester United, you have some key players which the coach established a system upon them last season, and this season they are not there just because of their physical conditions and some way, somehow, of the pitch issues at some point in time. So all of these are broad scale of problems which I feel the coach needs to deal with it, and we need to get these players back as soon as possible to sort it out. Then to Galatasaray, you also find the same problem. Squander a lot of chances, score 1-2, lose concentration, and at the same time, Galatasaray scores. And it has to do with the physical condition, it has to do with the mentality at some point in time for these particular group of players. How long is this going to continue? How long under every single manager their complaints. People might say, I want Ten Hag to stay, I want Ten Hag to do this because he's not a problem. It's not that Ten Hag doesn't have a flaw. If you watch Ten Hag's Ajax team, he built two different teams with Ajax. And I wouldn't give all the commendation for him when it comes to signing of players because Overmars was there and Glenn Van der Sar was around. So in terms of player acquisition, he had people above him who have a fair knowledge about what the system of Ajax is about, what they want to do, and the broad knowledge about the real projects that Ajax wanted to undertake. So you give the coach the players, so it is up to the coach to develop those players. Why was Eric Ten Hag able to develop those players? Because Mark Overmars and Edwin van der Sar gave him the needed tools, even when he was not even agreeing with some of the players they brought into the team. At a point in time, they didn't want to play Kudus. They had to force him to play Kudus. There were a lot of players that they had to force him to use, and he was able to develop these players within that particular system. What is wrong at Manchester United that he can't do such things? At Ajax, he was playing with the first batch was Lashon and Frankie de Jong. When you look at Lashon and Frankie de Jong, these are two different types of profiles. Lashon is very physical, trying to obstruct opponents' attack, disrupt them. Let me use the word and destroyer. Then you have Frankie de Jong, who picks up the ball in the first phase. He's a very good ball carrier. Try and glance through the midfield and moves to the second phase. And at the same time, when the other team is even in possession, he's a very good option when Lashon picks up the ball in the first phase and brings it to him in the second phase because of the level of quality in his ball retention. So they will create a lot, score. Then he built another side where he had three midfielders, which currently Manchester United is playing with. So last season it was Christian Eriksen and Casemiro. So Casemiro was his Lashon, Eriksen was his Frankie de Jong. This season he has moved to what he played with Ajax in 2021-2022 with Edison Alvarez, the guy who just moved to Liverpool, Gavinbeck,
Yeah.
and then Steven Bergers.
Yeah.
So you look at those three players that he was playing the two number eights with. So Alvarez picks up the ball. The next person closer to Alvarez is more or less Bergers or Gavinbeck. But when he had Lisandro Martinez, anytime they are building up in the face, his automatic defensive midfielder who is partnering Edison Alvarez in that particular midfield is Lisandro Martinez, where Julian Timber and David Blind become the centre backs. That is why you mostly see Julian Timber inverted. You saw David Blind inverted. So Lisandro Martinez picks up the ball in the first phase, try and progress it to the second phase where Vegas and Gavin Beck is. The moment they lose that particular ball in that moment, because Edison Alvarez is a free man that can shift in as the third centre back, he comes in and becomes the destroyer and make sure that he picks up those balls and give it back to Vegas, Gravenberg, or Lisandro Martinez. So last season, we saw glimpses of that, and that is why Lisandro Martinez was playing so well at some point in time. And at a point in time, too, we also saw Luke Shaw drifting into the midfield, becoming the second midfielder, receiving the balls in the second phase of our build-ups, where Casemiro picks up the first one. And it looks like Casemiro is not all that secure on the ball whenever he's picking up those balls in the first phases. Casemiro is not that particular secure when it comes to dictating the pace of the game and making sure that we dominate possession at some point in time. Even at Real Madrid, whenever he receives the ball in the first phase, one of Toni Kroos or Luka Modric will need to be closer to him. But look at the gap between our players and Casemiro whenever we are trying to take that from the first phase. Look at the gap between Casemiro and our players whenever we are transitioning back to defend. And this also boils down to coaching, where I feel Eric Ten Hag has a little bit of problem in making sure that these players track back so effectively and looking at the level of mentality that they have and their physical conditions. Someone will question his silence. Why did you buy this amount? Why did you buy this because you do this? I think Mr. Mount could not pick us so well in the first part of the season when he joined the club with injuries. But I think the last few games, he has proven that he can track back helping us. Hannibal is giving us that particular option, but Eric Ten Hag is not actually, let me put it on note, trying to risk him and overuse him at some point in time due to lack of experience, number one. Number two, looking at how injury has set up within the squad, you might be quite scared a little bit overplaying players, which he did last season. That when you lose key players at some point in time, you might be struggling. Coach has his problem, structure has his problem, players also have their problem, and players will also need to work on their part in making sure that they put themselves in right physical mentality. And you are playing for Manchester United, you are not playing for Stoke City, you are not playing for Sunderland, you are not playing for Tottenham Hotspur, you are not playing for any other club, you are playing for Manchester United. And the mentality really, I've seen players who are not talented, I've seen players who are not technically gifted, but when they are on the pitch, they leave 110%.
Yeah.
Even when the fault is from the coach and the system is bad, they leave 110%. A specific example, Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
Ask yourself why every single coach at Chelsea loves Conor Gallagher. He's not that particularly technically gifted. Conor Gallagher is not that particularly at that high level when you talk about midfielders who could keep the ball so well, try and create, try and do a lot of things with the ball. But off the ball, even when the team is not playing well and the coach status is not going well, he leaves 110% on that particular pitch. These are things we expect from our players at some point in time. So we have structure problems. The coach has some things he needs to fix. He wants to play like how he played with Ajax in 2021, 2022, which I feel might take time and then we don't have the right quality to do that. So he has to either stick with what we did last season or try and make sure that he improves whatever that he has.
All right.
That is what I can say for now.
Okay. All right. That's a very interesting.
That's a lot to unpack. A lot to unpack.
Michael really
I think
really puts everything.
I think he answered most part of your question that you wanted to ask him after we discussed
Yes, yes.
I think what he said is a multifaceted problem. It's just not. You can't attribute it to just probably just the coaching problem. I think it's the coaching problem. It's a club culture problem. So players need to step up. Yeah. But I just feel, in as much as he's right about most of the things that he said, personally, I think the coach has to take more responsibility in how he manages the situation. He's the manager for a reason. He's not just there to coach players. He's a manager of Manchester United. It comes with a lot of responsibility, both on and off the pitch. So despite everything that may be happening structurally and everything, he's the man in charge. He made his recommendations before he took the job. He knew the scale of the task at hand. So this is his biggest hiccup so far since he took over the club. He has to man up and then, face the situation head on. No more excuses. There's no need to make any excuses.
He has admitted that.
Exactly. There's no need for him to make any excuses. He should tackle the situation head on, arrest the rots, find some stability, and then start churning out results no matter what. So at the end of the day, I still feel the manager above all has to take more responsibility for what's currently going on.
All right, but specifically, let me ask you, Kwame, what do you think we should do at this point? I mean, if you are the manager, I mean, things are not going as you like. I mean, losing 6 in 10 games is a big. I don't think we've ever started out. I don't remember the last time we started our season like that. Even under Ole, I'm not sure we found ourselves in such a situation, especially the last season. But how do you think we should deal with such a situation?
All right. So first of all, luckily for us, the international break is almost here. I just can't wait for us to just have a break from all this because he needs it. The players need it. We, the fans, we need it. But then we've got just one more game before that break. It's against Brentford and it's at home. What I think he needs to do is he needs to shake up the starting lineup a bit, especially in defense. In defense, we have only about 5 fit defenders available. But then he's playing Amrabat at left back. I was not keen from the very beginning, if you can remember our report from about a week ago, about him playing at left back. Because what that does is he's a very good player, but he's not yet been able to showcase what he actually is by playing a makeshift position ever since we signed him. We have to find a way of bringing him back into the middle of the park because I feel he has been at fault for unnecessary fouls and tactically teams are, trying to take advantage of his position. And I blame him to an extent for the goal that we conceded against Galatasaray yesterday, the winning goal.
2 goals, actually.
any left back for that winning goal naturally turns and heads down the line.
Yes.
Rather than just look inwards and smashes the ball inwards and then just leaves the team open to a counter-attack. He's not familiar with the position and he's been found out. The quicker we move him back into central midfield, the better. So I'm hoping for better news concerning Reguilón, and hopefully he may be fit. If he isn't fit, I still feel we should push Diego Dalot to left back and probably play Lindelof or somebody else as a makeshift right back.
All right.
That's one change that I would expect. And yes, it's unpopular, but I think Anthony should start for the sake of balance. I know most people think he doesn't do very well offensively, but then when he doesn't play on the left side, on the right side, on the right wing, nobody else actually takes advantage of that situation and makes that spot his own. Bruno Fernandes was horrible yesterday. Horrible. Mason Mount hasn't been given a look in on the right. Pelistri, we thought was, going to be the guy, but then we saw that against Palace that, he's not there yet. Yes. The truth is he's not there yet. So Anthony is back, and I think Anthony should start for the sake of balance. And let's just go with that and see whether we can get a result from it.
All right, Michael, let's look at personnel. For me, I've seen that a lot of players are not stepping up or are not taking responsibility. I mean, players like Casemiro at some point. I mean, over the last couple of games, we've seen him. He looks to be returned. He looks like a player that has to be played into form. Marcus Rashford has been off color completely in most games. Against Palace, he was just off. One wrong decision after the other. It even led to a point where in yesterday's game, old Marcus Rashford would have taken a shot. But after a lot of criticisms, he decided to pass to Bruno Fernandes instead of he taking advantage and shooting. I mean, let's look at some key personnel. So Bruno, Casemiro, Rashford, and their contribution to the current situation we find ourselves.
Okay. First of all, I would love to add something to what Pami said about Anthony in this particular setup.
Yeah.
Anthony is one particular player which personally people feel like I defend him a lot.
Yeah.
But he gives us a certain needed balance on the right wing, which most of the players who play does not give us.
Yeah.
In terms of the way he supports our right back, how he isolates himself for passes whenever we overload on the other side of the pitch. Sometimes how he links up with our attackers, try and create spaces. We saw glimpses of it last season. Look at his assist for Casemiro in the AFL Cup. The movement with him and Diego Dalot against Nottingham Forest, against Rebels at home, what he added against Barcelona at home. So you fully understand the impact of Anthony, but he has not been consistent. That is his problem. He does well in one game, goes off like 2 games in terms of attacking, but defensively solid. But see, the greatest asset of Anthony, or when we are going to see the best of Anthony, is when we are able to sustain pressure at the opponent's half for some few minutes, like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because Anthony is very good in terms of retaining possession. How many times do you see Anthony losing balls unless he passes it waywardly?
Yeah.
But when he is with the ball, it's very, very difficult for Anthony to lose the ball.
Yeah.
Very difficult. So if you have such kind of player and you retain possession at the third half of the pitch where the opponent is, you can count on him that he's always going to be part of it, try and link up, move swiftly, and when there is enough space, he can get something out of it. But here lies the case. We have not been able to sustain possession. So look at games that we sustain possession in and around the opponent's area for some time, and you understand the impact of Anthony. But whenever we are supposed to move in counter-attacking, defend, hit on quick transitions, that is when we see Anthony lacking a little. Like playing against Everton, he had one particular counter-attack. Anthony, where are you going? He just had to put the ball down and try to find another player pass to him, which is not helping him at all.
Yeah.
So games like against Crystal Palace, where we sustained a lot of pressure up front, you need Anthony linking up with Hoyland on the other half of the pitch, where Marcus Rashford also links up with him on the other half of the pitch, or Bruno Fernandes actually also comes in and also link up with him. So these are things I feel Anthony is going to add to our team, especially when we decide to dominate a lot and when we decide to possess a lot. Looking at our left back position, I wish Reguilon comes as soon as possible. Amrabat is really suffering. I'm being honest. And Marcus Rashford will not come back to come and help Amrabat. It's not going to happen. And those loopholes and the spaces that you feel that Amrabat will need support from, it is only going to be left with Casemiro. And Messi Mount is working overtime. He supports Dalot. He needs to support Amrabat. He supports Dalot. He needs to support Casemiro. He needs to support. He's overdoing the work.
Yeah.
And that is why the coach loves to also play Hannibal most of the time, so that both of them will share. Mount supports Amrabat and Marcus Rashford, then Hannibal supports Casemiro, then Samuel Bruno Fernandes will also join and support Dalot on the other part of the pitch. So these are things I feel tactically going forward when they have enough fit players, it can be solved. And most players will be playing back in their real positions and we get the best out of these players. But Casemiro has been here before. He has seen it all. And when people complain about the structure, that is the reason why Casemiro is out of form. I would never agree. Because Brazil played an international game, and the Brazilians were angry that their captain is out of form. And it is not only Manchester United fans who are complaining about this. That is where I feel it's not about structure.
Yeah.
Brazilians are also complaining. Their head coach also spoke about it some time ago that he feels Casemiro will need to pick up, and he's the leader of the team, and he believes that Casemiro will pick up at the right time. I want Casemiro to pick up his form as soon as possible.
Okay.
Last season, when he was in form, my oh my, you were unstoppable. Casemiro alone could stand, and at some point in time, we could even play with Ericsson and Bruno. They were all in the opponent's half. But yes, though Casemiro can do a better job for us. But he's off. He can't time his tackles at some point in time. How he moves swiftly in his transitions. This time around is quite slow. He's not actually scanning a lot better now.
Yeah.
Because if you have realized, he gets more and the supporters have to shout for him to know that someone is coming from behind him. I don't know most of you have realized that.
Yeah.
He's
Michael,
not
is Casemiro past his best?
I don't think so. It's a loss of form. Form is temporary, class is permanent. So I feel when he comes back to who he is. Because if you are watching him very well, it's not like Casemiro has tired legs. I don't know if you've realized it.
Hmm.
It's not like he has tired legs. It's more or less about decision making, the timing, and how aggressive he is. But he could run, he could move, and we saw it against Bayern Munich. He was only the positive point in that particular game. Him and Hoyland are
Yeah.
used to
Mhm.
against Bayern Munich away, and he was doing a lot for himself. Personally, I feel he needs to rediscover a lot of things he did for us last season. And the reason why I'm not so much worried is he's so much experience,
Yeah.
man. He's so much experience. He has seen it all. And he knows he has to pick it up.
Okay.
And he's a player who challenges himself to do the best.
Mhm.
And he's always giving his all, even when he's not at his best.
Yeah.
So I expect him to come through.
Okay.
Bruno Fernandes loses a lot of balls. Bruno Fernandes is not that particular luxury Odegaard type of number 10.
Mhm.
Bruno's number 10 is about productivity.
Yeah.
He'll give you assists, he'll give you goals.
Yeah.
So we need to have a midfield that could possess a lot, try and hold on to the ball a lot, so that Bruno Fernandes can also have his chance just to shoot or even pass when it becomes necessary, not being involved in terms of dominating possession, when he can lose the ball a lot. And he's quite unpredictable when he's off, he's off. And Bruno Fernandes knows responsibility. If there's someone who has come into this team
Okay.
that I really trust that he can turn this form around, Bruno Fernandes is also one of them.
Yes.
He has done it before. He did it for us. He's a captain and he's responsible. He takes responsibility when he's not on form
Okay.
and he needs to pick it up. Those two, I can assure you, Bruno and Casemiro, they will
Yeah.
come good.
Okay.
But for Marcus will need to start scoring or start assisting before the confidence comes.
Yeah.
I don't know what is wrong with him, but he's literally hit with these particular symptoms whenever his form is off. He loses confidence.
Mhm.
It has not happened only under Eric Ten Hag
Okay.
under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at some point in time, under Ralph Rangnick, even under Jose Mourinho at some
Yeah.
point in time. Whenever you say something to him or there's a little bit of criticism, Marcus Rashford gets back. But hey, man, you are 25 years old. You are growing up, and he needs to start taking responsibility for
Mhm.
certain things. He needs to start working on
All
himself.
right. All
He's a
right.
very good player, and when he's in mojo, I think he's quite unstoppable on the other hand side.
Okay.
So I think he needs to set himself up so well.
All right.
That we knew them as soon as possible.
Okay. All right. So we are hard pressed for time. So let's quickly look at Brentford. Kwame, I'll give you just 2 minutes. Then I'll give Michael 2 minutes. Let's look at Brentford. How do we tackle this game? We've beaten them twice at Old Trafford since they came back. They've never had a result against us at Old Trafford before. Now Old Trafford is crumbling. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a fortress anymore, is it?
No more. It's not.
so we can't even go on the back of that and say, it's Old Trafford, so we should expect to win.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping with the changes that we've discussed in the past couple of minutes, it can bring something else. We just have to see at this point in time. I've repeated before, I don't care how we play. I just want us to win. Let's just get a results and then go into the international break with it. Hopefully we get some players back, during that period. Hopefully players return without any more injuries. And then it's sort of like we go again. We just need this break to sort of restart. So anyway, anyhow, we should just get a result against Brentford and just go home. Just go on a break. We all need a break.
We need a break. All right, Michael, in 2 minutes.
I think I support what Parry just said. Results brings confidence, and confidence will actually help us play better in subsequent weeks.
Yes.
Last season we lost to Brentford, we lost to Brighton. There was a loss of confidence. If you watched our game against Southampton, Liverpool, we struggled in some phases of the game, but results were coming. And after those games, you could see us playing so well in some games that were ahead of us. So I believe anyway, anyhow, let's start getting the wins. When we get the wins, the confidence will come. When the confidence comes, the style of play will come out by itself naturally.
Okay.
Michael, I have 2 questions for you, and I'm sure a lot of people like just 2 questions, 2 quick answers. Is Ten Hag signing the right players? And the second question, let me just follow up with the second question. Is he the right man for the job?
Yes. Yes.
So yes to both questions.
Yes. Ten Hag is not signing the right players. That was a no. But number 2, yes, he's the right man.
So he's not signing the right players?
Yes. Because we don't have the proper structures to help him sign the right players for his system. If you leave him to do that, you are actually going to suffer. He had Overmars, he had Eden van der Sar. We need competent people for that. But in terms of coaching, in terms of managing the team standards, I believe he's the right man for us now.
All right. Thank you, guys. It's been awesome. It's been amazing. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. Your analysis has been so insightful. It's been spot on. Drawing comparisons with his Ajax team and everything. It's been amazing, Michael. Thank you so much for your time with us here on this United.
You're welcome.
Yes. As usual, we say hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe bell anytime, so that when we release this new episode, you'll be able to enjoy all the beautiful things that we say or we discuss here on this podcast. My name is Kwame Bafo. I'm here with Kwame Ejugbo, and we were joined by Michael Akomia, the Messiah. Thank you, guys. It's been fun having you here. So we'll be back same time next week. Have a great time.